every time it rains, this lane floods. When water puddles up here, it ends up running all the way down to the house. Now I've managed to fix the drain down there, so at least the water runs away when it gets there. But it would be great to stop it at the source. Time to bust out the big guns.
Now, if you've seen Jen drive the tractor, don't worry, she's going to be going nowhere near this thing. Now let me explain the problem up here. So our house is on a stream at the bottom of a valley, so we have land sloping up on either side away from the house. Above me is our neighbour's field. Water comes rushing down off of there into the lane. So at the end of the lane is this little stream. It doesn't go down the lane, it turns right and goes through a culvert underneath Jen's feet. Okay, I need to show you what's going on down here, but if I step in there, the mud is going to come over my boots. So I'm going to swap with Jen because she's wearing wellies. Right, so underneath my feet, there is a big pipe that takes the stream down underneath me and off to the main stream. But over to your left, there's another pipe. Water only ever trickles out of there, no matter how much water is sitting above it in the lane. I've tried shoving a drain rod down there. It goes about 4.5 meters or so and then just stops. It's there for a reason. So I think that pipe in the past was somehow hooked up to drainage pipes in the field, and because it's blocked, the water's gathering in the lane instead, which means the easy solution is dig down, find that pipe further down the lane where it's blocked and solve it. Okay, so I hope I've explained all that correctly. That pipe that we don't understand really then runs under the ground here to about halfway along the lane, and this area here, this is where the water pulls up and then runs down the lane. So we're going to dig here and see what's going on. In case you are new to the channel, don't be fooled by the equipment we have available nor the enthusiasm with which we use it. We have absolutely no idea what we're doing. As such, what we will uncover here is a complete mystery. I do know that a drain rod sent up this pipe from the open end by the stream doesn't get very far before getting stuck. Literally stuck. I lost one up here investigating this. Before long, enough of that pipe is exposed though for me to cut into it and discover why. Look at that. No wonder it wasn't flowing. What a stupid idea. Okay, here's what we've discovered. Now remember, this pipe that I'm fiddling about with, it's been properly installed. I mean, it's not a 5-minute job. Someone has gone to a reasonable amount of trouble to put that pipe in there. So why does it just end for no reason here? It just stops. If you thought I was joking earlier about losing my drain rods, here is one of my original ones. Welcome back. I think what's happened is that somebody, it sounds incredibly lazy and a bit useless, evidentially. I think they've just dumped an absolute ton of gravel here and then a pipe going to the stream in the hope that water would just kind of soak into the gravel and go down the pipe. And it makes me wonder if that's what's also been done further down here. Down there is another ditch, and you can't, or maybe you can see it. Another pipe. Right, so this project has just turned into what might become a rather major one. Here's what I'd like to do. This pipe, rip this one out, expose the end of it here, and keep the existing pipe there, because that's good and installed properly. I don't want to be messing about under this fence. Cut the pipe off about here and put a new French drain in, which means exposing the end of the pipe, and run a proper French drain here, not just stop it here like an idiot, instead run it all the way down the lane and join it up to the one down here. How many meters is that going to be? I don't know, 25 meters maybe? But it does mean digging a hole, or a trench at least, down the whole of the lane. I think Jen would say no, so what I might do is just get on with it. Unfortunately, my plan was ruined by Jen turning up to see how it was going and asking what my plan was. So I lied and said I was wrapping up for the day and that we could discuss what we should do next later on. As soon as she was gone, I then dug up the lane. And if it all seems a little excessive, that's because it's hard to explain how much water ends up going through our land after heavy rain. This ditch is a trickle here now, but 4 hours after rain and it becomes impossible to stand here due to the force of water. As an example of that change elsewhere, here's the stream by our house, and then again 4 days later. The same situation further north on our land, where again the stream can change overnight. And this is all summer showers. In winter things get worse. The water going down the drive is a real problem, and sorting the source of that is important to get right. And this ditch may be the solution. Okay, every project has a moment where you try something and it turns out to be either stupid or genius. This is that moment. Let me explain what's going on. So I had to bust through this concrete, this rock here. I need to bust through this rock with my SDS drill. Is that stupid? I don't know. There's another one here. I mean, look at it. We'll see. It's probably stupid. The more I describe it now, the more stupid it sounds. So I want this ditch at a certain depth all along its length. This rock is in the way. Is a drill the best way to break it up? Of course not, it made no difference and the digger still could not rip through the rock. Continuing like this would be stupid. So I continued for a bit, then got bored and had a plan for the next day. The SDS drill on chisel mode was the right idea, but the wrong tool. So I've gone and got myself a much bigger drill. I hired this for 24 hours and the hope was it would rip through the rock and let the digger scoop out the rubble. And it did do that, but no way near as simply as I assumed it would. It was incredibly hard work, and how guys can use these for a full day's work, I have no idea. The thing weighs close to 40 kilos and constantly jams itself into the ground. It was a pig to use. I'm sure there's a degree of user error going on here, and with more practice I'd get better, but no question I was very glad when this part was done. Okay, it is coming up 6 PM, getting dark. I'm just about done, but check this out. I've got this far, and I've got as far now as the other pipe. Do you know, when I started this project, I thought maybe it was one long pipe, but it's not. Two stupid little pipes. Drains into the ditch down there, so it's open-ended, and the other end went about, I don't know, 4 meters to about there. Just open-ended pipe. And what a surprise when I ripped it open. Who'd have thought it's full of bloody mud? Well, that's funny, isn't it? Wonder why that is. Morons. So, cut this off so I can put my French drain into there, save me digging under this little fence, and then I think I'm pretty much done for the day, because I'm exhausted.
Yesterday Mark got this dug and tomorrow we get the pipe to go in it. Today is simple, scrape the bottom out so it's clear of loose stones and debris, and then bang it down so it's nice and flat, and get the mud out the pipes that are staying in place.
The idea is to use the existing pipes where they go under the fences, as that's easier than digging those bits out, but that means clearing many years of mud and plant debris from inside them. That's a disgusting job, so I avoided doing it. And all that was left was to then make sure the bottom of the ditch was clear of large rocks and stones. Okay, I think we're good for today. We've got a couple of spots where water is gathering in the ditch and not flowing away. I think, in fact I'm almost certain, that point is higher than that point. The reason the water is collecting in the ditch is because on its way downhill there's a couple of undulations, so if we fill those in it should just flow straight. Because obviously we can't have water sitting in the pipe the way it is sitting in the ditch, because even though the pipe has a sock on it to stop debris getting in, it will still be dirty water. There's sediment in it. The sediment will then settle out over time and it will end up with sludge in the pipe, which is bad. We do have a very cool sludge solution that I'll talk about later, but for the most part we want to avoid sludge where we can, which means pipe goes downhill only. Right, I got the pipe, but the weather is terrible today, so it's not going in the ditch. Okay, up at the main ditch, and what's cool here is that the water that's gathered in it is running down it, I guess, as you'd hope. Not a lot, but actually it's only just started raining, and so the water that's in this ditch is just literally rainwater that's fallen on it. By that I mean that what tends to happen here is that about a day after or a couple of days after a lot of rain, the water starts coming off the field, either literally off the top of it or down through the ground, and that's what causes this lane to flood. It's not just getting rained on. So the fact that it's already draining like this is a good sign. Hopefully rain stops tomorrow and we can get the pipe in it and then get it finished. Right, so today it is not raining. In fact, it's beautiful today, although it's going to rain later apparently. So cracking on, got the pipe up to the ditch already. Now into the workshop, because I've got a new gadget that I need. Okay, got it. So I always had a laser level device. What I've now got for it is a receiver unit thing that in theory should allow it to work outdoors in bright sunshine when you can no longer see the green laser. Okay, so the laser level is set at the end of the pipe at a random point up in the air, and then the receiver is on the measuring stick that Jen's got, and when that measuring stick is put on the bottom of the pipe, it is beeping and telling us that it is at the same level as the laser that's on its tripod. So we know that that is now the level for the pipe. So all we now need to do is work our way backwards along the ditch, making sure that we are constantly getting lower and lower and lower from the original starting point, which is the bottom of the pipe. Super simple.
And it worked perfectly. All along the ditch, the receiver had to keep being raised to match the laser at the other end, indicating a nice steady fall.
Okay, so that worked perfectly. It's really deceptive because when you stand and look at it, it doesn't look, I'm not sure how it looks on camera, but it doesn't look like there's a huge fall. But there is. Every 6 feet or so we're coming along, we're dropping another inch or so. But yeah, then we line it with fabric.
This is a French drain fabric designed to allow water through into drainage pipes or soakaway boxes, but not dirt. This lined the ditch down its entire length, and once done, it was time to put the pipes into the hole.
The fabric is in, so it's now time to lay some pipe. Watching YouTube, which is how we do all of our projects here, there are two ways to do this. Some people put a small amount of gravel and then the pipe, and others put just the pipe straight onto the membrane. Our gravel's not here yet, so we're going with the one that doesn't require it.
This was not very simple because we had 100 metres of this pipe and needed two lengths of around 27 metres, and the whole thing was tied in a giant knot. This horrific experience took us about an hour to resolve and almost made us consider just digging a pit, burying the pipe in it and abandoning the whole project. However, we persevered and got the two pipes laid eventually. Why two pipes? Well, because the digger bucket just resulted in a ditch of that size. And filling it with pipe would be cheaper than filling it with more gravel. And water moves through a void, so two pipes is better than one. Next step was to wrap the ends of the pipe separately as they were getting pushed through the old pipes. So we wrapped those, cable tied them, and then pushed them through the fabric lining the ditch and into the old pipes. That way, when finished, the water could then exit through those. As soon as that was done at one end, we then repeated the process at the other, which completed the pipe work. All that was left was to add the gravel that had just arrived.
Right, good news is the gravel's here. Bad news is it is obviously down the drive by the house. So it means getting it up the lane to the ditch, and the lane is steep and wet and slippy at the moment. So it's going to be an interesting test for the tractor.
So with the tractor fully loaded, we began the first of what would be many trips up the lane. Now the idea of a French drain is pretty straightforward. The two pipes in the ditch have small holes all along their length. This allows water into the pipe. The pipe then gets covered in clean gravel, and the pipe and the gravel gets wrapped in the membrane. So water can filter down through the topsoil, enter the gravel, find its way into the pipe and then run down the pipe and away. So this part of the job is now just laborious, back and forth with the tractor, dumping it in around the pipe, wrapping the pipe, and then backfilling where needed with the soil that came out. And then it went from laborious to potentially deadly. What happens here doesn't look very exciting. The bucket on the back of the tractor wasn't fixed in position, so slipped and cracked me on the elbow. And aside from being very painful and a bit bleeding, it didn't seem very exciting at the time either. However, it turned out that rubbing some dirt into the wound and assuming it would all be fine was optimistic. 2 weeks after this, my arm swelled up, went bright red, and I spent 24 hours on an antibiotics IV to deal with cellulitis. That was done to prevent it from becoming sepsis, and that was done to prevent it from me being dead.
So we nearly died there, or one of us nearly died. It was hard to tell who was more in danger of dying than the other. But what's impressive is that we've got all of this done. And this project it's over halfway before one of us nearly died. Yay us.
Now, as I said, it took 2 weeks for the bacteria in my arm to go on a rampage, so at this point we just plodded on with ditch filling. And so that meant more of the same. Gravel, shoveling, backfilling, repeat over and over again while hoping it stayed dry.
We've gone through 1 bag of gravel. We are definitely going to need to order more gravel. And we might just need to get the digger back, because that by hand is hard work.
We did need to get the digger back, and because it's due to rain most of today, I got one with a cab and a heater and a radio, of all things. More gravel is also being ordered. That arrives later on today as well. So the plan now is to just smooth out the area that we've already done, so I can get the tractor nearer to the ditch that needs to remain to be filled and keep filling it. And hopefully get most of it done today. Fingers crossed. Okay, the end is in sight. Literally, it's just over there. The only thing that's causing a problem today is the rain. It's just started to pour rain again. It is a constant annoyance. At least Jen's got her hat.
Curly hair.
Okay, that part of the project is done. Thank goodness. Got a tractor full of rubbish, mostly the old useless pipe. That needs to get back down to the house, into the truck and off to the tip. And the lane now needs smoothing out. But it is about 4 o'clock, I think, so I've got a good hour of light left. And I get to do it listening to the radio with the heater on. It's not perfect by any means, but it's too wet and muddy to do much more with, so no huge concerns about that. What's great is that water is running out the end of it. And it hasn't stopped. It literally hasn't stopped. It's been months since we finished that project, and I'm currently stood in the little stream that runs permanently. Water flowing out of the end of the French drain down here, making its way down eventually to the main stream down by the house. It's currently mid-January here, and although it hasn't rained for a good week or so, heavy at least, that lane would at this time of year normally be just filled with mud and surface water, and it's not. It's all coming down here. It just runs permanently. As a result, the water flowing down the driveway when it gets really bad is reduced down to probably 20% of what it used to be. It's an absolute success. We spoke to so many people about what we were doing, and we were told by everybody it's not going to work. You can't drive over the French drain, you'll crush it. Haven't crushed it. The water won't get down to it because there's too much clay in the soil. Water's getting down to it fine. I mean, all sorts of reasons as to why it wouldn't work. And yet, as I say, I'm stood in the results. And everything looking pretty good up at this end. 2 pipes all neatly tidied up. No water flows out of these. It's all going that way. Someone did ask, actually, that I was talking to about this project, why we didn't have a high point halfway down the lane for the French drain, so half the water comes out this way and half goes that way. And that might well be a good idea. The answer as to why we didn't do that is simply that it was easier for Jen and I to just have the pipe go in one direction. So simplicity. So nothing comes out, but water might go in. I mentioned during the project how we had a solution for sludge settling in the pipes. What we're thinking of is that when we have very, very heavy rain, this whole area here fills up with water quite dramatically. Obviously, it rushes down the big pipe behind me. Initially, it's kind of dirty and muddy because it's bringing all the silt down from up in the hills. But pretty quickly, a couple of days, it goes crystal clear again. There's still a large amount of volume of water though. So the plan is put some sort of board in front of the pipe behind me, sufficient to raise the water level to a point where water can go down these pipes and effectively flush them through with crystal clear mountain stream water. It remains to be seen if that works as planned, but the theory at least is sound. That is it. French drain project is done, and as far as we're concerned, a complete success. On to the next one. Now, should you be copying anything you've seen us do in this video? No, that would be nuts. We are making it up as we go along and might have just got incredibly lucky with how that turned out. Doesn't mean there's nothing to learn from this video though. Number 1, always wash your wounds. Number 2, always get a digger with a radio.